Sports Network and talk some recap of high school football and some of the things going on around the 15th region, sir.
I agree with you. And, of course, like I say, we got Philip Birchfield here, a former coach at Pike County Central, and he's joining the APSN crew. And like I say, once again, thanks to Charles Thompson and the Shelby Valley Diner for having us here. And Shannon, will be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to Eugene Newsom and his family. Eugene unable to be here because of sickness in the family. We want to say a prayer for them and hopefully everything goes well. We miss Eugene tonight, and we pray everything goes well with him and his family.
Yes, sir. Eugene, definitely in our thoughts tonight. And as we transition right in to some of the big games in high school football last week, let's start with one that's all over the television, all over Kentucky, sent a ripple effect. I was actually at the game, and you talk about Raceland versus Pikeville. Number 1 Raceland came into Pikeville and jumped up on them 21-0, Ronnie Paul. And honestly, I was at that point at halftime because it was lightning. There were some delays going on around the area. I know APSN was covering the game down the road, and Eugene told me they was just lucky to get out of there.
I've got to ask you, now tell the truth, did you stay to the end?
No, sir. I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that. And my daughter let me have it. Both my kids, Pikeville Panthers, and Pikeville as well as my alma mater. And I hate to say that we left at halftime. I said, this game's over. We're going.
And it eventually got to 27-0. And I think the biggest comeback in the 100-year history of Pikeville football. But regardless, they've established their name, and I call it in football lore, to come from 27-0 down. Now, let me say this. You're playing a team, maybe it's not as good a 500. They were playing the number 1 team in Class A, Raceland. I mean, a great team. And let me ask you this. Does that say a lot about this team? Does it say a lot about Coach Mack, or is it both?
I think it's both, Ronnie Paul. I think that when you look at Raceland and you start looking at the Class A, KHSAA football playoffs every year, you see Sayre. You see names like Raceland, Russell, Pikeville. And so this is a premier team, like you said, come in ranked number 1 in the state, Class A. And the Pikeville Panthers are coming. What a comeback that was. If you've not seen the highlights, get on there and check it out.
As they say, one for the ages. I mean, those kids will be talking about that game 30 years from now when they're talking to the children. And the children won't believe them. But they'll be saying, I was there and I played. We were down 20. Now, I'll tell you another thing. Excuse me, that I thought was fascinating about this game. That wasn't in the first half. There was 4 minutes, I think 42 seconds to go in the third quarter, and they proceeded to reel off 35 points in that last 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's what fascinated me is late in the third quarter.
Well, and my daughter did accuse me of being a fair weather fan as the scores started coming in later that night because, lightning hit. They went into the locker rooms. I don't know what Coach Mack said to ignite some lightning into those Pikeville Panthers, but the quarterback and I forget the wide receiver's name, they were just electric as they led that comeback for the
Harrison
Pikeville
Fields
Panthers.
was the receiver. He's the one that caught the touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown. Mikey Hager capped it off with a pick 6.
Yes.
And with 16 seconds to go, to give him a 35-27. J.J. Reynolds made a great play. He rolled out. He bought himself some time, and he got the big pass to Harrison Fields. But also, and you don't see that happen too often, 2 onside kick recoveries, which is very, very unusual. I think the average recovery rate on an onside kick is around 33%. So they got 2 right back-to-back, which turned the game around.
It was huge. And now you take a look at Pikeville's next game. You could transition here into some of your games of the week. I know APSN, Appalachia Prep Sports Network is going to be covering Prestonsburg and Eastridge, and I know you're going to talk about that. But Pikeville will take on 3-0 Johnson Central. Went to Belfry and Pond Creek, and looked impressive. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll say this. Johnson Central won 46-21. Talking to someone that's at the game said, and they're from Belfry, they said, we played with them from a half. But he said they kept running in 11 players on offense, 11 in defense. Belfry's usually a team that has a lot of depth. But according to him, they wore them down. He said they just, we were just wore out in the second half, 46-21. I'm not surprised Johnson Central won, but I'm surprised they won by that margin.
Well, and Johnson Central is a 4A school, and so
Yes.
them being 4A, they have a lot of athletes to choose from. Pikeville, of course, Class A, Belfry 2A. When you look at this Pikeville matchup at Johnson Central, what are you seeing? What are you thinking here?
Well, we made a commitment when we were picking these games. We talked about it last week. We're going to pick with our head what we think, not with our hearts, because everybody wants your local team to win. But you lose some validity or whatever in your picks if you pick a 1-8 team over a team at 7-2 just because they're down the road. I think Johnson Central gets the W. I really do. I think that they just maybe a little stronger and probably quite a bit more depth than Pikeville. But, I'll say this, J.J. Reynolds and the Justice in the backfield, they got some outstanding receivers. I mean, Pikeville's probably got a good group of receivers, as you'll find, in my opinion. I mean, you're talking about Hager, and you're talking about Cole Sloan, and you're talking
And you're
about
also talking about a former Wolfpack, Quentin Warren.
Quentin
He's
Warren
out there as well.
and Quentin Warren, Harrison Fields. I'm probably leaving out somebody, but Fields, Warren, that's enough. Sloan,
A lot
Hager,
of options
Mike,
for him to
and
throw
so
to.
Mikey Hager, who's tremendous athlete and everything. They've got some skill people. Now, to me, the key, as it is in most games, is turnovers and in the trenches. How can powerful? That's why I give Johnson Central the biggest edge is the trenches, offensive line and defensive line against Pikeville.
Well, Ronnie Paul, we're going to be coming back here and looking at some of the big games of the week and listening. You've been around this business for a long time, and what picks you have for some of these matchups here in the 15th region in Eastern Kentucky. I couldn't drive through Pikeville tomorrow if I didn't pick my alma mater, the Pikeville Panthers. I got to go with Coach Mack and the Panthers in this win.
And I hope you're right.
And I know I may be picking with my heart a little bit, but I got to be rooting for them after that comeback against the number one team, Raceland. I can't doubt them now,
Okay. I'll tell you, we're going to take a timeout here on the APSN Network. We'll take a timeout, and we'll look back at a little more high school football and, like you say, look at some games in the upcoming week as you're listening to the Appalachian Prep Sports Network.
At Valley Discount Pharmacy, we're more than just prescriptions. We're your neighbors. Whether you need affordable medications, expert advice, or just a friendly face, we're here for you every step of the way. Fast service, trusted care, and prices that won't break the bank. Valley Discount Pharmacy. Local, reliable, and affordable.
Looking for a new pharmacy? Howard Family Pharmacy offers fast and friendly service and convenient drive-thrus at both locations.
Welcome back, everyone. Ronnie Newsom along with Shannon Blackburn and Philip Birchfield here tonight on the APSN Network, looking at some last week's games in high school in our area. Pike County Central with a win over Floyd Central.
That was a big win for the Pike County Central Hawks. What's your takeaway from that game?
I'm not surprised. Pike Central, they're in the same, of course, district this year with East Ridge, Shelby Valley, and Belfry. But I'm like you, a big win for Pike County Central over Floyd Central. The game we had, Martin County at Betsy Lane. Martin County, one of the most impressive quarterbacks and athlete in this area, Devin Maynard at quarterback. I tell you, he can hurt you. And big old quarterback, that's great. I mean, Josh Allen. But just a tremendous athlete. He led the victory. They put up 48 against Betsy Lane or whatever. And that's another case where I think maybe they just wore down the Bobcats.
And you talk about that quarterback for Martin County,
Devin
wonderful
Maynard.
basketball player as well. Wow, you've seen him in the 15th region for many years, and you'll see him one last time this year.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little about East Ridge. They lost to Harlan County last week, but more importantly, they lost their freshman quarterback who got off to such a great start, Kanan Ramey. Let me say this, Kane and I had the pleasure, and it was a pleasure, to coach him for several years in AAU basketball. Tremendous athlete, tremendous young man, great parents. My heart goes out to them. Broke his leg, and I'm sure he's probably out for the season, I'm sure. But a freshman quarterback, and he got off to a great start. He led them to a victory over Morgan County. They played well against Somerset, a game a lot closer than most people thought. They lost to Harlan County. Uphill battle. Wow. I mean, Philip Birchfield knows what that's like. Lose your quarterback in the third week of the season. That's going to be tough Friday night.
I will give a shout out to their running back, Talon Hopkins.
Good athlete.
The kid is a great athlete. His speed is phenomenal. Keep an eye on him on the rushing leaders in the 15th region. Wonderful athlete, very impressive young man. Moving on to some of these games this week, I'd love to hear your take. You've got Prestonsburg, as you said, at Eastridge. You know, Eastridge losing their quarterback. Who do you have?
Well, let me say this. I was surprised. I admit that. I picked Hazard last week over Prestonsburg. Prestonsburg just put a whipping on Hazard, and pretty good, too, pretty handily. And Eastridge, first game without Kane and Ramey, I have to go with the Black Cats.
I agree. How about Belfry 2-1, Southwestern 0-3? I looked at the losses Southwestern had. They played some tight games. They played some tough competition. Belfry on the road. What do you think?
I tell you, Southwestern's had some great teams in the years, but I think Pulaski Southwestern is really down. To be honest with you, and I usually don't say that about a road team, but I think Belfry handles business and handles it pretty easily Friday night. I'm going with the Pirates.
Coach Varney and the Belfry Pirates
Yes.
with the prediction. Then you move into a good matchup. A lot of people are maybe overlooking Knott County Central 3-0 versus Betsy Lane. What's your take on that one, sir?
I will say this, Shannon, that was a tough game for me to pick. Let's face it, Knott County has been, a doormat for years and years. I think it starts with, of course, coach, upgraded the facilities. They've got the turf field now. They're 3-0. Betsy Lane, a good offensive team. Coach Jared Gerald, I think, has done a tremendous job with that program. Betsy Lane had some lean years and everything, but, boy, they've been so competitive. Won a lot of football games. You know what I'm saying? Coach Gerald's done a tremendous job. But Knott County, 3-0, I don't think they've played that formidable of a schedule, but I'm going to go with the Patriots at home against Betsy Lane.
And we'll see if you're right, see if they go to 4-0. Then you have, here's a matchup. I can't wait to hear you on this one. Breathitt County 2-1, Hazard 2-1. I don't want to really call it a rivalry, but these teams kind of know
Close.
each other.
Well, they're neighbors. They're neighbors. You go up, I think, what is it, Highway 15, and you go from Jackson to Hazard and everything. And Hazard, a storied program, Breathitt County, of course, state championships or whatever. Yeah. But I'm going to go with the larger school in that one. I'm going to go with Breathitt County to get the win on the road at Hazard.
Okay, we will mark that down. How about Letcher County Central, Harry County Central?
Tough game to call. Tough game to call. I had that. I mean, it's just a tough game to call. But I'm going to go with Letcher Central and their outstanding quarterback, Gunnar Holbrook. They had a big win last week over Shelby Valley. And but that'll be a good football game. Coach Dixon does a great job at Perry County Central, coming over from Hazard. But I will go with the Cougars from Letcher County Central.
And then you look at those Martin County, that team you were talking about with Devin Maynard. Their record's 1-2. They've played some tough competition. They're at home versus 2-1 Knox County. What's your take?
I'll tell you what, they lost to Lawrence County in their opener, which there's no disgrace there. It's 35-7. But Martin County, I think, with Devin Maynard and company, I think they are a very good offensive team. They give you a lot of different looks and whatever. I'm going to go with Martin County over Knox in that game.
I hope you're right. I'm rooting for Martin County in that game. And here we are at the Shelby Valley Diner. As you said, the premier eating spot here in this area. They're 0-3. Will they get their first win on the road this week versus Floyd County 1-2?
I tell you, that's a tough pick. As the old saying goes, bleed blue or whatever, for Shelby Valley. But, boy, they have just had some just unbelievable, whatever you want to call it, breaks, looks, whatever. They lose a couple of really good players to Letcher Central, which really hurt. Two really good athletes. Their leading tackler from last year, Robert Collins, a senior, just a tackling machine, had over 100 tackles last year. They lose him in a scrimmage. I think he tore his ACL. He's out for the year. All right, you want to go worse? They play Ironton, Ohio, which was it a very good matchup. Ironton, a defending state champion in the state of Ohio, a great storied program, whatever. They not only lost to Ironton 63-0, but they lost their starting quarterback, Brady Johnson, to an injury. I don't know if Brady would be back. So, last year, and we talked about it last week, probably over 2,700 yards, 23 touchdowns. I think he rushed for over 700 yards.
Wow.
I thought he was the best quarterback in the mountains last year. I really do. And he had, I think, 11 more rushing touchdowns. An outstanding athlete, plays basketball. But from what I can gather, he has played his last football game at Shelby Valley. Now, Shelby Valley, they had two outstanding receivers in junior Jonah Bartley and Bryce Bentley. I mean, really two for, when you talk on the high school level, I would have probably put that pair up against any, maybe with the exception of Pikeville's. But then you got to make some adjustments. They moved Jonah Bartley back at quarterback for a while. Now I understand he's back at receiver, and they're putting Elijah Blackburn, another young man. But it's tough to lose your quarterback in the first game. They lost last week to Letcher Central, and of course they lost to Ironton. They 0-3 on the year. I think they'll go 0-4. I think Floyd County Central will get them at home. I do.
It does seem I know it took you a while to make that pick. I know you have to walk out of here tonight, sir. Now, one more, and I know you got to take a break soon, then we're going to get into some 15th Region girls volleyball, one of the largest and quickest growing sports here in the mountains.
Yes.
And, of course, soccer on the rise as well. We're going to talk about that and some of these teams that's premier downstate playing right now in some state tournaments. One last pick before the break, though. 3-0 Paintsville, 3-0 Russell.
I'm going with Russell in that. Two good football games, be a very competitive game. I've been impressed with Paintsville. They own wins over Eminence, Floyd County Central, here early in the season. So, and I think the Fairview was the other game. They're 3-0, but I'm going to go with Russell, the Red Devils at home against the Paintsville.
And there is one other game I'd like to plug for, Ronnie Paul, if you don't care. Tomorrow night at the historic Williamson Fieldhouse, the Gilbert Lions will come and play the Williamson Wolfpack. Both teams, the two top-ranked middle school football teams in Mingo County. Fletcher Simpkins, keep an eye on that kid at the quarterback. His dad, all-state quarterback from Matewan when they won it back in the early 90s. Should be a wonderful game if you have nothing else to do tomorrow night. I know we got to take a break.
But let me say this. I love listening to those names because it takes me back to my younger days growing up when I get the Williamson Daily News every day and look at the sports page. Hey, I was familiar with Birch, Gilbert, Lenore, Williamson, Logan. You know what I mean? A lot of people say Gilbert. Those are familiar names to me because I grew up with them. With that, we're going to step out, take another time out. You're listening to this broadcast on the Appalachian Sports Network.
In a rush, dinner on the go, or ready to celebrate after the big game, come into the Shelby Valley Diner. At the Shelby Valley Diner, every bite is made to satisfy. Crispy, saucy wings made just the way you like them. And don't forget about our daily specials, fresh and delicious, giving you something new to love every day. At Valley Discount Pharmacy, we're more than just prescriptions. We're your neighbors. Whether you need affordable medications, expert advice, or just a friendly face, we're here for you every step of the way. Fast service, trusted care, and prices that won't break the bank. Valley Discount Pharmacy. Local, reliable, and affordable. Rainey Real Estate Development, your housing source for Pikeville, Kentucky. Just hitting the market is this gorgeous 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment located only 5 minutes from campus. If you're interested in a home, call Jake Rainey at Rainey Real Estate Development, 606-477-8662. That's Rainey Real Estate Development. In a rush, dinner on the go, or ready to celebrate after the big game, come into the Shelby Valley Diner. At the Shelby Valley Diner, every bite is made to satisfy. Crispy, saucy wings made just the way you like them. And don't forget about our daily specials, fresh and delicious, giving you something new to love every day. Shelby Valley Diner is where flavor meets family. Come hungry and leave happy at the Shelby Valley Diner.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Appalachian Prep Sports Network. I'm Ronnie Newsom along with Shannon Blackburn and Philip Birchfield. Glad to have you with us tonight. talking all sports, basketball, soccer, ice hockey, you name it, we're going to talk about it. As you can see, the most important thing to us is the food.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
telling you
talk
that.
about this food here, Ronnie Paul, that they brought out during
Hey,
the commercial break.
cheese fries, hot dogs with homemade chili, folks. You got to make your way to the Shelby Valley Diner. If you've not eaten here, I'm telling you, you're missing out. And they have specials every day. And trust me, I'm a hard critic on food. Shannon, I had country fried steak one day with mashed potatoes, and I'm not kidding you, out of this world. I mean, I told him, I said, got to find out when you're having it again, because I'm going to get it again. Country fried steak and gravy, folks. If you're a fan, then you need to come and get their country fried steak and gravy. All right, moving on. Let's talk a little about the All A volleyball. Shelby Valley with a 3-set win over Paintsville in the finals.
Yes, sir.
Remain undefeated. I think they're like 12-0, 13-0. I'm not.
Very impressive
Yes.
squad Coach Riddle's put together.
And they are
this
in the
year.
All A. Tell us when it is and who do they play in that one?
So, first and foremost, let me say the 14th Region All-A champions, we want to give them a shout-out. I think that was Knott County Central High School. They're down state playing as well. Shelby Valley High School will be taking on Trinity Christian. That should be a wonderful matchup. We're following, and we will cover here on Appalachian Prep Sports Network the Class A volleyball tournament as it progresses. We'll keep you posted with scores, highlights, players of the game. But let's talk about Coach Riddle's Shelby Valley Wildcats. You're talking about some 15th Region kills leader. You've got Kylie Kenner, all right, averaging around 7 kills a game. I mean, this kid can play. But one player versus a team. Shelby Valley came out. They beat them, like you said. Would you say, was it 3-0? Was that right? In that 15th Region All-A tournament?
The finals?
Yeah.
No, it was 2-1.
2-1. Okay.
Yes.
But Miley Riddle. Let me talk a little bit about Miley Riddle. Ronnie Paul, 6.7 kills a game. I've watched this young lady play the other night up at Shelby Valley Gym. We've covered this team a couple different times. Coach Riddle's team could make a deep run in this All-A tournament. Shelby Valley has the net play. They have the serves. They have the athletes that can dig up. I mean, just a growing sport here in this area. Appalachian Prep Sports Network has been covering girls volleyball. And moving on to some assist leaders, you may know some of these young ladies. Abrielle Swain from Belfry, former Wolfpack, like Quentin Warren now with the Pikeville Panthers. This young lady played, she is just a freshman, Ronnie Paul, and she's third in the region right now with 6.82 assists a game. So a big shout out to the Lady Pirates, Abrielle Swain, a wonderful family. You got Lydia Wallace, 6.86 assists a game. And then, of course, you know this name, Talon Johnson, a Wildcat, 10.12 assists a game. So I'm looking forward to seeing that Shelby Valley Trinity. I think you can catch that game. It's at 8:30, if I'm reading this correctly. Don't have the exact date of when they do play. But then also moving on and I just want to say this, as the 15th Region soccer or 15th Region volleyball tournament gets ready to go into action, I hope Appalachian Prep Sports Network covers it. It's going to be some impact and some high energy if these young ladies have taken volleyball as a sport that is on the rise here in Eastern Kentucky and around the state. Moving into soccer, though, Ronnie Paul, I was at the game in All-A Championship. It was rainy. It was misty.
Let me make a comment. You said misty. That reminds me of something. That has to be a great experience, regardless of the sport, when you can coach your child, boy or girl. You know, the head coach at Shelby Valley, Mystery Riddle, what a job she's done with that program.
Great job.
And then have one of the better players in the 15th Region in her daughter, Miley Riddle, who's only a junior and got another year to go. And I don't. Maybe you can tell me more. You've seen her more.
What I can tell you this, Ronnie Paul, is when she's hammering that ball over the net for a kill, I'm ducking and getting out of the way. It's a missile.
So what you're saying is she may get some college money to play volleyball.
She
there.
could look at a next level athlete. This kid is impressive. Follow her as her career progresses, and good luck to Coach Riddle and those Valley
Absolutely.
Lady Cats.
All right, let's talk a little soccer.
Well, it came down to two teams in the All A championship. It was misty, it was raining, as I said, and it was the Pikeville Panthers, who were undefeated at the time, and it was the Prestonsburg Black Cats, which is the defending 15th region champions in soccer, as they knocked off Johnson Central and Pikeville last year to win. And what a game. But in Prestonsburg, the game before, had just beaten Belfry, who was an impressive team. They've got a goalie, Michael Hagee, 6'4", 220 at the net.
Wow.
He's impressive. A senior, may play at the next level if he chooses to. They beat them 4-0, and they got the win 2-0. And I hope I say the young man's name right. I've been fumbling it.
Is it Alvarado?
I'm going to let you say it then. Yes. Jose
Maldonado.
This kid, 2 goals. They scored twice. It was 2-0. He had both goals.
Had both goals.
The kid is phenomenal. He'll play at the next level.
Congratulations to Prestonsburg, and we wish them well in the All-A state.
Well, when you transition now into some college football, we've talked some big matchups coming this week in high school football. Appalachian Prep Sports Network is going to be covering a big game as well. But Prestonsburg, East Ridge, we'll be right all over that. Let's first talk last week as the UK Wildcats and the Ole Miss team battled each other. What was your take on that?
Let me check and see. This is the number for the Appalachian Sports Network. Let's see if someone has a comment.
Let's do it.
Excuses, go ahead. Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, I'm not at home right now.
While Ronnie Paul is taking an Appalachian Prep Sports Network question of the week, and I think that question is, who will start at quarterback for the UK Wildcats, sir? How did you feel about last week's game? And just give me your overall comments or takeaways.
Well, I will start by saying I'm an old UK. I love UK. I hurt when they get beaten basketball, football, or whatever, pull form in baseball. As that old saying goes, we bleed UK blue.
Yes, sir.
But I will say this, just pitiful. My prediction before the year started was 3-9. I've not come off that. I mean, they would have to upset someone. An Ole Miss,
Louisville,
Mississippi State. They got a 3-week stretch, which is, I couldn't believe the SEC would do that to them, seriously. But I figure the SEC said, well, it's Kentucky, and who cares? They play Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia. 3 weeks back to back. Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia. They play 5 of the top 15 teams in the country. I could see possibly, looking at the schedule, a 7-game losing streak for UK. But let me say that in a game so disappointing. They play, more victories. I mean, they don't say you had 5 victories. 3 of them was more victories.
No,
they played so hard. Their defense played tough. In my opinion, and a lot of people out there listening, you can call us at 606-205-3721 with your comments or your questions, anything that you want us to talk about.
Or
we'll be glad.
comment online. We got Philip Birchfield back here producing. You have a good question, hit Mr.
Yes.
Birchfield with it. He'll get it, slip it across our desk. We'll be glad to address it.
But, at the end of the first half, just looked like a fire drill, bodies going everywhere. I was surprised how the announcers, they just ripped Stoops and his staff. They said, hey, instead of all the movement, just throw a quick out pass, get the field goal team on a kick at field goal. Just so many mistakes, so many, in the second week of the season. And I think Stoops, to me, everybody thinks they know football. Here's what I corrected. I think Stoops is a good coach. I don't think he's done a very good job of managing his staff or hiring, with the exception of Brad White, the defensive coordinator. But I was talking about more victory. Shannon, you and Philip, you all may know, but Philip was there. They play hard, and especially on the defense. The defense, I think, done their job. They gave them a chance to win the football game. But I've not been impressed with Zach Calzado. I hate the young man got hurt. He will not play this week. Cutter Bowley will be the starting quarterback. Now, Cutter, I think he's got a good arm hanging from that shoulder. Not a very good runner. He's not very athletic at the quarterback position. He kind of lumbers instead of running. But anyway, the Cutter Bowley era may start Saturday against Eastern Michigan. I think that's a 7:30 kickoff.
I think so.
7:30, Philip. 7:30 kickoff, and they should handle the Hurons of Eastern Michigan. But let me tell you what my score is, and you're going to say, "Oh, come on, Ronnie, 28-17, Kentucky."
Wow.
I think it'll be that.
That's a bold prediction with that defense.
Yeah,
do you think?
I don't think they've got the talent level to blow anybody off. To me, the strength is those two running backs. I mean, the two outstanding Dowdell and what's the other guy's name? I mean, I think McGowan. Trey McGowan, two outstanding running backs. Hey, that's a sign of the times. You're talking about Trey McGowan. I was listening. I said, what? And I'm not making. They said, well, he started at Texas A&M and he was dismissed. Then he went to an NAIA school and had a tremendous year. Then he went to a junior college. I'm serious.
And they
said he spent the last 2 years. These kids today, they've got 3 colleges on their resume. I mean, it's amazing. But 2 good running backs, no receivers. Macklin's probably the best receiver. I don't know.
Key's decent.
And who?
Is it Key?
No, he's gone. Key is at Nebraska, and Barry Brown is at LSU. So lost the 2 best receivers from last year. I think the offensive line is a little better, but I think it's going to be a tough year. I don't see. I'll get your opinion. I just don't. If they go 3-8, 3-9, 4-8, I just can't. Regardless of buyouts, I think you take that out of the picture. I just can't believe that Stoops would survive a second year like that in the SEC. That's just my opinion.
Well, keep this in mind as well. They announced Stoops the longest tenure coach in the SEC, active tenure coach. Yes. A lot of years, a lot of chance to turn the program around. Toughest conference in America, no doubt about that. So there's your prediction, 21-17.
28-17.
Oh, 28-17 Wildcats. We'll see how that plays out. Moving into some other big matchups.
Well,
okay.
I want to make one more comment.
Yes,
now, we were talking and you're thinking, okay, does Appalachian Prep Sports Network have an inside? No, we don't, but we do hear rumors. I was in Lexington this last weekend, and, I hear the money people. I hear the money people talking about
who may come
in, and they say the money people want John Summerall. Now, John Summerall is a former assistant at UK, went to Torrey State and had 2 or 3 fantastic years. Now he's the head guy at Tulane, had a great year last year. I think he's 9-3 last year, and former linebacker at Kentucky. And, Summerall. Now, other things I picked up was Stoops loves Lexington. Would be, they may bump him into the athletic department. That way they don't have to do the buyout and they renegotiate. And he becomes like an ambassador like they wanted John Calipari to do. They wanted John to step down and be an ambassador for the athletic department. So I don't know how that'll work out. But you and I were talking about it. The other name we hear mentioned, and I told you I'd send him a check, is John Gruden.
We have heard that rumor, sir. Gruden
has expressed an interest in, John Summerall may be a great coach, but I'll be honest with you, give me John Gruden, because I made the comment before we come on the air. John Gruden's going to win. If it's at Appalachian State, Tennessee, Chattanooga, John Gruden will win. One of the most brilliant, offensive minds in the game of football, a lot of tradition. His brother Mike Gruden was a coach in the NFL and everything, but wouldn't that be something to have John Gruden now? And here's what I'm saying over John Summerall: a name, recruits, money. I think
which
would
Kentucky
increase.
struggles with recruiting in the SEC.
Oh, yes.
Going up against Georgia, Texas, Florida, LSU, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee. That would bring a power name into the blue.
I think Stoops has trouble competing, and I don't know how Philip feels about that. I think the death knell for him, I hate to say it, is when Oklahoma and Texas come in and they go to the 9-game, SEC schedule. I just don't see how Kentucky, under their present system, can compete.
Those are all valid points, and something to watch as time goes on. You talk about players' resume. Calzone, a 7-year college player?
Yeah.
Been everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
But moving on, now, Ronnie Paul, I'd love to get your take on 3 big games coming in college football this week.
Okay.
Let's talk about Georgia versus Tennessee. Huge matchup in the East.
Tennessee lost their 2 best cornerbacks. Now, if you keep up with foot, yes, they did. Georgia, I'm telling you, Kirby Smart's done such a tremendous job at Georgia. But I'll tell you what, and especially Tennessee, I don't care nothing for the Vol or the Orange. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, with that being said, I'm going with the Volunteers at Rocky Top.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with the upset. I'm going with, hey, listen, their quarterback at Joey Aguilera, great quarterback. He's got some good receivers. Now, I worry about losing 2 starting cornerbacks. I mean, especially against a team like Georgia and Gunnar Stockton, who's a good quarterback. I don't think he's Matt Stafford, but I think he's more than adequate and everything. In Georgia, I mean, gosh, they had 14 guys drafted by the NFL. I mean, can you imagine that? You think about that. I mean, you say that real quick and everything. 14 players drafted by the NFL off one year's team. I mean, it's just, you watch the NFL and linebackers, defensive end, running backs, wide receivers. Georgia, like Alabama, and all that. But I'm going with Rocky Top.
Rocky Top.
I'm going,
okay.
I'm
Mr.
going
Birchfield, I'd like to get your take on this pick. Georgia, Tennessee, who you have? All right. Our producer, Philip Birchfield, has picked Georgia. Ronnie Paul Newsom, Tennessee. Moving to another big SEC. What could have been bigger if Florida hadn't dropped the ball this past weekend. You made a funny comment a minute ago. Is that coach can't even sit down right now. Florida. Yeah. So LSU versus Florida. What's your take?
Pretty easy pick. I mean, when you lose to Central Florida at home, Billy Napier, I think he's a nice guy. I mean, I think he's class and all that, but that doesn't get the job done. He's had this is his 3rd year. He can't. I'll go without. He can't stand a 7-5 or an 8-4 at Florida. That gets you walking papers. Especially after the year they had last year. Got a great quarterback, DJ Lagway. He's tough. I mean, he'll be playing on Sundays one of these days and everything. I really don't know. Central Florida, who beat them, beat Boise State earlier in the year by a pretty good margin, and they beat Boise State. Now they beat Florida. But LSU loaded, Durham, an outstanding running back, and Garrett Nussmeier, he'll be drafted in the 1st round.
Wow.
Barring something happen to quarterback. I think they just got too many weapons. They got Harold Perkins. He'll be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Tremendous linebacker / defensive end for LSU, Harold Perkins. You just don't hardly ever go against LSU down in Baton Rouge at Death Valley. I go with LSU.
Mr. Birchfield? He goes to Tigers, so you agree. And one last one. I know you got to take a break here and come back. And we got a few little things before we wrap up for the evening. All access Appalachian Prep Sports Network, Shelby Valley Diner. But Notre Dame, Texas A&M. We're not at Union Station here. We're at Notre Dame. Number 8 versus 16. What do you think?
I hate Notre Dame. I feel about the same way about them.
So does my dad.
Yeah, Notre Dame, Tennessee, I throw them all in there. The
Did
Dukes.
all kids growing up in Virgie they just said you got to hate the Irish growing up?
You think Tennessee, the neighbor, but I just grew up hating Orange, and I just can't turn it around. You know what I'm saying? Now, do I pull for Tennessee against LSU? Yeah, against Notre Dame, yeah, I'll root for the Vols or whatever. But A&M. And Notre Dame playing at home. Notre Dame played a great game, against Miami, Florida. Come up a little short. I'll go with the Fighting Irish, as bad as I hate to. But with my head, I'm going with the Irish against A&M.
They are at home. How about you, producer Birchfield? Double on Notre Dame. So we'll see how they cut. Next week, we will be looking back at these picks and seeing who would you put your money on as time goes on. Ronnie Paul Newsom usually gets it right.
With that, we're going to step out and take another timeout, and we'll be back with a look at the NFL. We'll recap last week's scores, talk about the upcoming game. We got a lot to talk about on the NFL. And with that, we're going to step out and take another timeout as you're listening to sports on the Appalachian Prep Sports Network.
Rainey Real Estate Development, your housing source for Pikeville, Kentucky. Just hitting the market is this gorgeous 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment located only 5 minutes from campus. If you're interested in a home, call Jake Rainey at Rainey Real Estate Development, 606-477-8662. That's Rainey Real Estate Development. At Valley Discount Pharmacy, we're more than just prescriptions. We're your neighbors. Whether you need affordable medications, expert advice, or just a friendly face, we're here for you every step of the way. Fast service, trusted care, and prices that won't break the bank. Valley Discount Pharmacy. Local, reliable, and affordable.
Looking for a new pharmacy? Howard Family Pharmacy offers fast and friendly service and convenient drive-thrus at both locations.
In a rush, dinner on the go, or ready to celebrate after the big game, come into the Shelby Valley Diner. At the Shelby Valley Diner, every bite is made to satisfy. Crispy, saucy wings made just the way you like them. And don't forget about our daily specials, fresh and delicious, giving you something new to love every day. Shelby Valley Diner is where flavor meets family. Come hungry and leave happy at the Shelby Valley Diner.
Welcome back here at All Access this week. Ronnie Paul Newsom, I'm Shannon Blackburn, Appalachian Prep Sports Network. We are here at the Shelby Valley Diner sampling this wonderful food. Ronnie Paul, man, the commercial break just wasn't long enough, was it?
Wasn't long enough. But if you got any doubt about the hot dogs or the homemade chili and slaw or the cheese fries, I had the cheese fries Saturday, but they were great. I mean, the food here is, and a lot of people say, well, they're hopping it there from the Shelby Valley Diner. Let me tell you, you come and try the Shelby Valley Diner, and I think you'll echo my sentiments about how good the food is.
You'll hype it up as well. Well, I'd love to hear your rundown on the recap of the NFL games. Week 1 just hit.
Yes.
I know you're going to take us through some of these games. I'm going to hit you with the scores. You're going to tell me what you thought. And then, of course, you're going to take a look at, next week, week 2, coming in, some of the big matchups that's going down. One that everybody talked about, Monday Night Football just the other night, Vikings 27, Bears 24.
Like many tremendous games. The NFL, the line between winning and losing is so small. But what gets me is football. I mean, in Eastern Kentucky, all across the nation, go by the ratings. Football's, the NFL is just taking over, Shannon. I mean, it dominates now. I'm watching TV and ESPN in May and April, and the baseball season starting. They're talking NFL Live, and they're talking, they're talking football. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, well, the NFL, I hate to say it, but I'll tell you why. There's one reason. Two words: salary cap. Okay. They have it. Baseball's got one, but if you go over it, all you do is pay a fine. Baseball eliminates, in most cases, unless you catch lightning in a bottle, they eliminate the small market teams, as we've often said. Football, I never hear the word Commanders, small market, Green Bay, small, never hear that, and I love it. But anyway,
that's a good point. I've actually never thought about that till you just mentioned that.
That's
if
the
you
reason.
Look at, and we're going to talk Major League Baseball here in a minute, some of the same names, the same teams in baseball every year, Yankees, Boston. You hear some of these big money cities,
absolutely.
big money teams. A lot of people moving on here to what they called the game of the week. It wasn't my game of the week because I'm a Bengals fan, but Bills 41, Ravens 40. That was a good one.
Yes, it was. I'll say this. I'm going to go back to that Vikings game.
Yep.
I was really impressed with the comeback. And I sat there in amazement because I don't pretend to know everything. The Vikings start out 7 possessions, 6 3-and-outs, and then they score 21 points in the fourth quarter. I guess that's coaching, adjustments, whatever. I was really impressed with J.J. McCarthy. He led the comeback. He threw a pick 6, but he didn't let that get him down. And the Vikings, I don't think they're going to win 14 games like they did last year, but that was a big win, any win on the road. And let me say this. That Ravens-Bills, I'm proud to say I stayed with it to the end. Bills down 15 points with 5 or 6 minutes to go.
A lot of people thought it was over.
Let me tell you, Josh Allen is a beast. Him, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, you'll take any of those 4. It doesn't matter. Give me one. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm partial to Joe Burrow. He led the lead last year in yards and touchdowns, whatever. But, boy, I watched Josh Allen. Listen to his stats now in the fourth quarter. He was 14 for 21. I shouldn't have told you what quarter. He was 14 for 21, 254 yards and a touchdown, and he rushed for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns.
In one quarter?
And that was in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
I mean, they scored, I think, 26 points or something like that. But that was one of the most exciting football. You wasn't here last week. I picked the Ravens and the Eagles, which I didn't exactly go out on a limb. But I picked the Ravens and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And nothing's changed my mind. The Ravens just a tremendous team. I mean, Lamar Jackson had an electric night. And Derrick Henry had a tremendous football game until the fumble. The fumble turned the game around naturally. But I'm telling you, Josh Allen, 6'5", 240, he sits in there and makes those throws. And you say, well, he's in the NFL. There's a lot of NFL quarterbacks can't make the throws that Josh Allen does.
A lot of people look at Josh Allen, and I'm Joe Burrow guy too. I love the Bengals all the way, but as the premier elite quarterback in the NFL, they just can't seem to get to that Super Bowl game. In the past couple years, they've had the Chiefs as an obstacle, and there's some other good teams like the Ravens in that conference as well.
Yeah, it is a tough hurdle. The Chiefs, we'll talk about them later, but that was just a tremendous football game, 41-40. The Bills overcoming a 15-point deficit with 5.5 minutes to go in that game. Who you got next?
Rams 14, Texas 9. Low scoring, must have been a defensive battle. Any news on that?
Well, last week I picked the Eagles with high honorable mention to the Rams, Packers, and 49ers. I thought those were the next tier. Boring game, 14-9. Texans probably getting the playoffs. They're in one of the weakest divisions. C.J. Stroud at quarterback, Matt Stafford for the Rams. But, Sean McVay, one of the better coaches in the NFL. The Rams get the win. Not much going on in that game.
Packers 27, Lions 13.
Packers, one of the most impressive teams I've seen this weekend. I mean, game wasn't as close as it, 27-6. Lions had a late touchdown. I predicted the Lions would make a drop back. Of course, they won a lot of games last year, 13 or 14. Lost their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, head coach at the Bears. They lost their defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? So they lost. And I believe that'll hurt Coach Dan Campbell, who's an outstanding coach. I'm not saying the Lions won't make the playoffs, but I'm just saying they'll take a step back, in my opinion. But I'm telling you, Jordan Love and those young receivers, and, of course, what can you say? Micah Parsons on defense got a sack. Packers were just, maybe the most impressive team in the first week of the season to me.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's stay in that NFC conference in that division. Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears. All four of those teams in the same division. Who do you have winning that division this year?
I have the Packers. First, Lions second, Vikings third. And then I think Chicago will be improved. They looked good the other night. I'm not a big Caleb Williams fan, but he looked pretty good the other night. They just couldn't hold on to it to the end.
Could you see three of those teams in
Absolutely.
postseason?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll follow that as the year goes on. Broncos did beat the Titans 20-12.
I think Bo Nix will take a step back. The Broncos won't because they got a great defense. They won 20-12 over Cam Ward and his at Tennessee. The Titans are just building for the future. Yeah. But it was a one-possession game, 20-12. Broncos won with their defense. Nix turned it over 3 times, 2 interceptions and a fumble. But Broncos at home escaped with the win, and I think the Broncos will win a lot of games this year because of their defense.
Another good game out west was the Niners and the Seahawks, 17-13 49ers. That's a tough division in the NFC as well.
Well, it is. Seahawks lose at home. Boy, when you lose those interdivision games at home, it makes it tough. I think the 49ers, had a terrible season last year. I think they bounced back, Brock Purdy and company. I seen their kicker missed a couple of kicks. Boy, you got a short leash. I seen they cut their kicker, Jake Moody, today.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The 49ers got a new one, but they escaped. Any win on the road and within your division's a good win. So it's 17-13, a big win for the 49ers.
And, because of time, we only have 10 minutes left in the show. We're going to move on to Week 2's big matchups. I'm going to call 2 teams. You tell me who you think's going to win. And, of course, I know you want to get on Major League Baseball before we end, as that is about to go into postseason. Commanders, Packers, Week 2.
Packers.
Giants, Cowboys.
Cowboys. That's another one. I'll make a comment. And I'm not a Cowboy fan, but the Cowboys will be better than people thought. I mean, they lost Parsons, new coach, and Brian Schottenheimer. I think the Cowboys will have a better year than what people think.
How about Seahawks, Steelers?
Steelers was my dark horse. I think Aaron Rodgers will have a better year than what people thought. I said that last week before they played the first game. He throws for 4 touchdowns. He gets the win. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but he's had a great career. But
who do you have in that division real quick in the AFC?
Ravens.
I can't help but take the Bengals. Tough to, yes. The Ravens are probably the front runners. I'm pulling for the Houday Nation. Titans, Rams. What do you think?
Rams.
Probably. Bills, Jets.
In a game that's going to be closer, going to be a letdown on the Bills' part. They're playing at New York. The Bills get the win.
Okay.
but in a narrower fashion.
They may
That's good.
not cover the spread, is what
No,
you're saying.
that will be a game. A lot of people said, "Oh, the Bills Jets aren't." That will be a closer game than what people think. The Bills and the
How
Jets.
about the Patriots and Dolphins, sir?
Boy, did the Patrons look bad and the Dolphins look worse. I thought it was between Carolina, Phillip, and Miami who looked the worst. I'll give an edge to the Dolphins, 33-8, losing to the Colts in I don't know if lethargic's the word or whatever. They're fighting among themselves. Tyreek Hill arrested, and
Yeah.
two are having a horrible start. Dolphins, I think, are in trouble. They've had a lot of injuries on the offensive line. Probably, no doubt, second worst team I've seen in the opening week.
Let me ask you this: hometown Bengals versus Jacksonville Jaguars.
Who dey? Go
Who dey?
Burrow.
Yes, sir.
Justin Lawrence and Daniel Hunter. I mean, from there, and he's fun to watch in himself. The guy from Colorado plays both ways, but he didn't play many defensive snaps. But Lawrence is not being what number one overall pick. I think people would classify him as a disappointment, but I think he's still a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah,
I really
yeah,
do.
very
But
talented.
Bengals, I'm going with Who Dey Nation.
And Cincinnati looking impressive. I'm really rooting for them this year. 49ers Saints, that's a divisional matchup. What do you think?
Saints, third worst team in the league. I go Dolphins, Carolina, and the Saints as far as the three worst teams. 49ers in NFL, college. When you're in doubt, go with the home team, but the 49ers get the win on the road.
How about the Bears Lions?
Lions bounce back, playing at home. They know how important this game is. They don't want to drop to 0-2. Lot of talent on that Lions team. Jared Goff and company. Jamison Williams, the wide receiver, just signed a big extension. Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery in the backfield. Great rushing attack, one of the best in the NFL. Go with the Lions.
Do you think there's any chance Cleveland could beat Baltimore this weekend?
No. But anyway, now let me say this. The Ravens play very, Phillip, what am I looking against bad teams? Methodical. What am I looking for? Methodical.
Play to the level of the competition, maybe?
Yeah, that's it. They'll win, but now if you think they're going to beat the Browns 42-7, no. I mean, it'll be 28-13, something like that. Ravens never really in trouble, but won't be as bad as probably a lot of people think. And you got Myles Garrett on defense. So
And now I know we don't have a lot of time left in the show here at Shelby Valley Diner Appalachian Prep Sports Network, about 5 minutes. We definitely wanted to hit on postseason Major League Baseball coming up, and, of course, some final comments from legendary Ronnie Paul Newsom here tonight. But, as the season winds down, there's one playoff spot. We're both big Reds fans.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets seem to be kind of holding that spot. Is there any chance you think the Reds slide in? Or
no, I don't think so. I don't think they can do it. I think the Mets have more talent on their team. They have underperformed, but baseball. I grew up being a baseball man over football and basketball.
Same.
But over the years, with the Dodgers and the Yankees, the Red Sox, Cardinals, Padres, I don't know who I'm. Not many more. They have 5 or 6, 7 teams. It just gets boring to watch, and you watch during the regular season. I think Terry Francona's done a good job. The Bengals, if they're going to take a step next year, they have to have a closer. Lost so many games the other night that they're up 3-0 against San Diego. End up losing 4-3 in 10 innings.
Well, you and I were talking about this a little bit ago. Baseball, probably one of those sports that's really fun to watch in person. I was telling you a little bit about my father's son trips that we take every year. I started with my son when he was about 3 or 4 years old. We've been to 10 stadiums. We've seen Washington, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, Miami, Detroit, Atlanta, and we just went to St. Louis just a couple weekends. Even my dad tagged along on that game, and it is an enjoyable sport in person. I know a lot of people with attention span these days don't really care for it on TV, especially the younger generation, but it's something really good to do with your family, or if it's something you want to take in. It's a real good feel.
Another thing I don't like about baseball, I'm wondering what you think. I don't like the changes. Hey, if you don't have time to go to a baseball game, don't go. They've turned it into like a carnival or something. the Pete Roses of the world probably rolling over in the grave, putting a runner on second base in the 10th inning. I think that is just horrible. I mean, you know.
And how about the clock countdown for the pitcher? What's your take
I
on
don't
that?
care that. Limit the number of pitches you can throw to first base. You know, they're not making the game better. They're just speeding it up. Faster is not always better. Let me ask you something. Is there a stadium out of those that you've seen? Is there one that fascinates you to where you say,
Well,
Ronnie, if you go, because I've been to Fenway Park, so you're going to have a tough time to top
You
mine.
and I talked a little bit about Detroit Stadium because I know you said that you've been there. Of course, Cincinnati has a one, but the most, to me, of the 10 stadiums I've been to, and they've all been unique and different in their own way. But I love the Baltimore Orioles Stadium. It had that 30s,
Camden Yards.
Yes, yes. And you know, I didn't know Babe Ruth had his start there. There's a huge picture, huge statue of Babe Ruth there, and I'm looking and I'm like, I see Cal Ripken Jr. I know this guy, the Iron Man, Babe Ruth. Is this the wrong stadium? But apparently he made a start there.
Yeah. With that, we're going to step out and then we'll bring back, but we do want to take one more break before we end. You're listening to Sports Talk on the Appalachian Prep Sports Network. We'll be back shortly.
In a rush, dinner on the go, or ready to celebrate after the big game? Come in to the Shelby Valley Diner. At the Shelby Valley Diner, every bite is made to satisfy. Crispy, saucy wings made just the way you like them. And don't forget about our daily specials, fresh and delicious, giving you something new to love every day. Shelby Valley Diner is where flavor meets family. Come hungry and leave happy at the Shelby Valley Diner. Rainey Real Estate Development, your housing source for Pikeville, Kentucky. Just hitting the market is this gorgeous 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment located only 5 minutes from campus. If you're interested in a home, call Jake Rainey at Rainey Real Estate Development, 606-477-8662. That's Rainey Real Estate Development.
Welcome back, everyone. Ronnie Newsom, Shannon Blackburn with us, Philip Birchfield. We've talked a little soccer. We've talked a little volleyball. We've talked a little basketball, baseball, football. We would appreciate your comments. Hey, even if you're criticizing, you know why? If you criticize, that means you were watching. And so, or listening or whatever. So we will take your comments and everything. We'll be here on Wednesday nights at 7:30. But I can't get off here. Shannon, I have to ask you, because like I will say, I grew up a big baseball fan.
Yes, sir.
You visited 10 stadiums. I've not been anywhere near that. I've been to the Tigers and whatever, and the Reds and some more. But do you have any plans? Do you have another one already, or are you just looking at
you
them?
already have, of course, Fenway Park sticks
Oh, that's
out.
great. I've been there,
And,
yep.
and, you know, with my son, we started out, we try to go to the closer stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
But now with 10 in, you're looking at Philly, you're looking at Chicago, and maybe hitting both Chicagos in one year, south side with the White Sox, north side with the Cubs. But Fenway Park, and of course the Phillies is
Great.
up there right now. I want to wait till my son gets a little older before we start heading out west, or maybe the New York stadiums.
Sure.
But Boston, what's your take on Fenway Park?
Fenway was just everything it's advertised. It was just such a great experience. I had a nephew that went with us. He said, I think that might have been some of the best days of my life, going to Boston, watching that. It is just tremendous. Now, I've been there, and like I say, my next one is Wrigley Field. And that's it. But anyway, that's going to take care of everything tonight. We want to remind everyone, Eugene Newsom, Shannon Blackburn, Philip Birchfield, and myself, we will be at East Ridge Friday night. Game time 7:30. We'll go on the air about 7:10. We'll be there for Pressburg, the Black Cats, undefeated on the season, taking on East Ridge, who's 1-2 on the year, playing without their injured quarterback Kanan Ramey. Pressburg coming off a big home win over the Hazard Bulldogs. We want to thank our sponsors, everyone else. Shannon, thank you for being with me tonight. Philip, great to have him joining the APSN crew.
Eugene, Ronnie Paul, we do want to give a shout out to the Shelby Valley Lady Cats. You know, right here at the Valley Diner, they're downstate playing in that All-A tournament.
Absolutely. Wish them nothing but the best, Coach Riddle and her outstanding team. But with that, we're going to step out you until Friday night for Pressburg and East Ridge, until next Wednesday night at 7:30. For everyone on the Appalachian Prep Sports Network, we bid you good night.